As a 911 dispatcher, I had experienced my fair share of emergencies, but nothing could have prepared me for that fateful Tuesday morning, September 11, 2001. It was a day that would forever haunt my dreams. The day had started like any other. The sun had barely begun to rise, casting a gentle glow over the city. Little did I know that the tranquility of that moment would soon be shattered. My headset crackled to life with an incoming call that would change everything. 911, what's your emergency? I said, my voice steady, although my heart raced. A trembling voice on the other end replied, I'm stuck. I'm in one of the towers. Please, you have to help me. My fingers danced over the keyboard, tracing the call to one of the trending towers in New York City. Panic welled up inside me as I realized the gravity of the situation. Sir, please stay on the line. We're sending help. Can you tell me your name? John, he replied, his voice strained. My name is John. I don't know if I'll make it out of here. Tears welled up in my eyes as I listened to John's trembling words. I could hear the chaos and terror in the background, the distant sirens growing louder with each passing second. John began to describe the scene around him. People are running, screaming. There's smoke everywhere. I can't see a way out. Please, tell my family I love them. I could feel the lump in my throat as I tried to comfort him. John, help is on the way. You're going to make it out of there. Stay with me. But then the line went silent. Panic surged through me, and I desperately tried to reconnect with John. My heart pounded in my chest as I called out his name, but there was no response. Frantically, I turned on the television in the dispatch center. The images that filled the screen were like something out of a nightmare. One of the towers, the very one John was in, was engulfed in flames and billowing smoke. I watched in horror as a second plane, crashed into the tower. The dispatcher next to me gasped, and tears streamed down my face as I realized the truth. John was in that tower. The world around me seemed to blur as I watched the unimaginable unfold before my eyes. The tower crumbled to the ground in a cloud of dust and debris. My heart ached as I realized I had been on the phone with John during his final moments. The weight of that call, the helplessness I felt, and the sheer terror in John's voice haunted me for years to come. Patriot Day would forever serve as a painful reminder of that dark day, and the tears I shed were a mix of sorrow, anger, and a profound sense of loss. In the years that followed, I dedicated my life to honoring the memory of those lost on 9/11s. John's voice never left me, a constant reminder of the need to be there for others in their darkest hours. But every Patriot Day, as I watched the somber ceremonies and remembered the horrifying call, I couldn't help but shed tears of emotion, knowing that I had been a witness to one of the darkest chapters in American history. As the sun began to rise over the city that never sleeps, I, along with my fellow firefighters, rushed towards the towering inferno that had engulfed the World Trade Center on that fateful morning of September 11th, 2001. The smoke, thick and suffocating, filled the air with an acrid stench, and the sight before us was a nightmarish tableau of flames and destruction. The cacophony of sirens, the distant screams, and the deafening roar of the inferno melded into an eerie symphony of chaos. We donned our gear, tightened our helmets, and shared a silent moment of acknowledgement, a promise to each other that we'd do whatever it took to save lives. My heart raced as we ascended the stairwell, the sound of our heavy boots echoing like a thunderous drumbeat in the confined space. Panic and fear clung to the walls, but we pressed on, determined to defy the terror that had befallen our beloved city. As we reached the floors where the fire raged, it was as though we had entered the gates of hell itself. The flames danced and roared, hungry for destruction, and the once solid steel girders groaned and twisted like wounded giants. The temperature inside was unbearable, and sweat poured down our faces, mixing with tears and soot. Amidst the chaos and destruction, we encountered people, trapped and terrified. Their eyes told the stories of their desperation, and their voices cried out for salvation. We did our best, guiding them through the smoke-filled labyrinth, reassuring them that we would get them out. One woman clung to my arm, her face smeared with ash, her eyes a mix of terror and hope. I promised her we would find her way out, and we did. But as I turned to leave, she whispered, "Tell my family I love them." And with those words, she disappeared into the choking darkness, her fate sealed. The towers continued to tremble, and we knew time was running out. Each step upward brought us closer to the unknown, and the weight of the collapsing world pressed down upon us. We pressed on, driven by a fierce determination to save lives, even as the towers themselves seemed to defy gravity. The moment of reckoning arrived when the tower above us shuddered, and the deafening crash of steel and concrete echoed through the stairwell. Dust and debris rained down, and for a moment, it felt as though the world had come crashing down around us. But we pushed forward, inch by inch, finding our way through the wreckage. When we finally emerged into the blinding daylight, we were met with a scene of unimaginable devastation. The towers, once symbols of strength and resilience, were reduced to smoldering ruins. The city skyline had forever changed, and our hearts ached for the thousands of lives lost. As I stood there, covered in ash and sweat, I couldn't help but think of the woman who had asked me to deliver her message of love. In that moment, I realized the true magnitude of the sacrifices made that day. September 11th, 2001, will forever be etched in my memory as a day of terror and heroism, of unimaginable loss and unwavering courage. It was a day when ordinary men and women became heroes, when the world witnessed the indomitable spirit of a city and a nation rising from the ashes. And though the scars of that day run deep, they serve as a reminder that even in the face of the darkest horrors, the human spirit can shine with a light that will never be extinguished. I'll never forget that fateful morning of September 11, 2001, a day forever etched into the annals of history as Patriot Day. The sun had barely begun its ascent over the skyline of New York City, casting a golden hue on the towering giants of the World Trade Center. Little did I know that the world as I knew it would soon crumble before my eyes. I was a simple office worker on the 87th floor of the North Tower, going about my mundane tasks, blissfully unaware of the terror that was about to befall us. The day began like any other, but it would end like none before it. The first inkling of something amiss was the muffled sound of an explosion. The building quivered, and my heart leaped into my throat. Chaos erupted instantly. Shouts and screams filled the air as we scrambled to understand what had just occurred. The windows shook violently, and the world outside seemed to warp and twist. The acrid smell of smoke seeped into our office space, and my eyes darted to the window. A plane, a monstrous silver behemoth, loomed large in front of us. It had crashed into the South Tower, unleashing a fireball of such intensity that it seemed to consume the very sky itself. The sight was nothing short of apocalyptic. Panic set in. Colleagues, moments ago engrossed in their daily routines, now transformed into frantic survivors. We knew we had to evacuate, but the stairwell was a writhing mass of terrified humanity. Fear gnawed at the edges of my sanity as I began the arduous descent, step by step, with every footfall resonating with impending doom. As I descended, the world outside the windows turned into a nightmare. Billowing smoke and debris obscured the sun, casting the stairwell into eerie darkness. The acrid stench of burning fuel filled the air, making each breath a painful reminder of the devastation outside. On the 44th floor, I stumbled upon a firefighter, his face a mask of determination amidst the chaos. He guided me through the choking darkness, his voice calm and reassuring, even as the building continued to tremble. His bravery was a beacon of hope in those dire moments. Finally, we reached the ground floor, but salvation still eluded us. The lobby was a scene from hell itself. Broken glass, twisted metal, and the cries of the injured created a surreal tableau. With the firefighters' guidance, we made our way to the nearest exit. As we stepped outside, the world had transformed once more. The South Tower, which had stood so defiantly moments ago, now crumbled into a colossal cloud of dust and debris. The ground shook beneath us, and a deafening roar filled the air as the tower disintegrated before our eyes. I watched in helpless horror as countless lives were snuffed out, lost in the merciless avalanche of destruction. The emotional toll of that day is one that will haunt me forever. The terror, the despair, the resilience of the human spirit, all indelibly etched into my soul. I survived that day, but the memory of 9/11 will forever remain a terrifying and emotional journey through the depths of human endurance. In the midst of the darkest hour, we discovered the strength to carry on, to remember, and to honor those who were lost on that fateful Patriot Day.